Development Commission. We've seen the Southeast Development Commission. We hear the South-South Development Commission is in the offense, as well as other geopolitical zones commission. And for the government, or in its wisdom, to accommodate all of these commissions that are popping up, it decided to scrap the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs and create the Regional Development Ministry. However, some people have questioned, you've created that, but what about the Livestock Ministry you've created? Anyways, I'm not going to go into the conversation because I've done that with you already. But joining me to have the conversation today, interesting, is a Niger Delta stakeholder, is the President General, Niger Delta Congress, is also the Secretary General, Coalition of Indigenous Ethnic Nationalities, and he goes by the name Nubari Saatah. I hope I pronounce your name correctly.
Yeah, you're
all right.
Right.
Welcome, and it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, and good evening to the listener.
All right, first of all, let's go to the basics, because I've seen a couple of Niger Deltans who are kicking against and clamoring against the scrapping of the Niger Delta Affairs Ministry, even though the federal government said it wasn't an outright, scrapping. It was so that they could give birth to a bigger ministry. Well, what do you make of it?
I think it's purely semantics on the part of the federal government. Like in your introduction, you mentioned the fact that over time a lot of things has evolved, metamorphosed from UNPADEC. Even before UNPADEC, we had Niger Delta Development Board, which was the product of the Harry Wildings Commission on the Fear of Minorities in 1957. And if you just look at how the Niger Delta region have been, or its agencies, its ministries have been treated over the years, you realize something, that there's always that keen interest in wanting to control it from the top.
Okay.
And with whatever it is that they are putting at the front burner, saying that, okay, now is to make it larger, it has given them that cover to be able to execute that. Now you have a ministry where you have, according to what they are saying, is that it's going to capture the different regional development commissions, and all of them will be under one ministry. Now, for the first time, you have a political action that has given the government of the day the impetus to decide a non-Niger Deltan to head this ministry, because they can always have that argument that, okay, the Northeast Development Commission is under this ministry, the Southeast Development Commission is under this ministry, and other development commissions. So it has given them that basis, that foundation for them to actually execute what they've been attempting to do by putting in lackeys into the NDDC, Ministry of Niger Delta, and so on, to control the resources. But at this point in time now, they can do it seamlessly without having any pushback, because they have an excuse they can always point to.
So if I get you correctly, you're saying this is a window, a large door for non-Niger Deltans to take what should belong to Niger Deltans.
It's as simple as that. It's as simple as
that.
But
But some people have argued, I had this conversation, was it last week or the week before? Some people have argued that even when it was controlled by Niger Deltans, nothing was seen. Can any good thing come out from Jerusalem, was the question people would ask at the time.
Actually, I understand that sentiment, and it is something that's not that like I said, I understand it. But that's the fault of the political leadership of the region. The political leadership of the region have failed the Niger Delta people. Well, that doesn't now give the government the impetus to now scrap something that was meant for our development. If we want to go to that extreme, because that's an extreme position, we can actually now say, okay, well, the Nigerian Federation, the Nigerian state has not lived up to its responsibilities, to the plurality of the Nigerian people. So let's set it aside. We can also have that argument. But if we cannot have that argument as far as the Nigerian state is concerned, then that shouldn't be an argument that we should be putting forward as far as the Niger Delta is concerned. Because if you, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, between 1960 and 2014, the Nigerian state has mined approximately 40 billion barrels of crude from this region. That totals approximately 200 trillion naira worth of crude. Now, if you're familiar with the oil industry, you realize that a lot of the figures bandied about they are more like unicorns. They don't exist. They are just falsified figures. Nigeria is producing 2 million barrels. That's official. Unofficially, it's mostly 3 times that, because the international oil company, they don't actually put forward the real figures.
Why did you say so?
That is how the country works.
No, when you say so, I need to reintroduce the show. This is hard facts, right? So when you say that's how the country works, it means that you've got statistics and data, because you've just told us on the show that over the years we've mined 40 billion barrels of crude oil. Interesting figures there. And you quoted the NBS, right?
Yes.
So if you now say that is a falsified figure, and that this oil companies, of course, we've heard the rumors, we've heard the allegations, but if you're going to use it on the show, then that means you would have to give me some reference.
I agree with you, and I understand that. Over the years, there's something that the oil industry have been trying successfully to fight, and that has been metering, and to help measure
true.
The amount of crude that they produce. That's a smoking gun. That is smoking gun in this conversation that we are having, because if you have international oil companies, which we all know they don't operate according to the standards that that is applicable outside this country, you have these companies who are going out of their way to prevent the use of modalities or processes that's going to make them accountable, make it known whatever it is that is happening, how many barrels of oil that has been pumped out at every point in time. And you cannot be preventing or trying to be an obstacle to this if something is not happening. It's as simple as that. I'll give you another example. In the 1970s, this is in the environmental aspect. In the 1970s, Shell undertook an audit of the Niger Delta environment. That document has never seen the light of day. Why? Because it detailed how devastated the Niger Delta environment is. But that kind of document seeing the light of day would actually create a bad image for this organization. So it was classified. It was jettisoned.
But I think there was the assessment that led to the
Ogoni cleanup.
declaration of Ogoni cleanup, the UNEP report, I guess.
Yeah. One thing we must understand about the UNEP report, which bettered the Ogoni cleanup, it's not even as comprehensive as it was supposed to be. So if, for example, UNEP is saying, like in its report, that Ogoni land is greatly polluted and it's going to take 30 years to return it to its original state, you just know that that's just based on what was done, not comprehensive. If you have something that was comprehensive enough, what you see will be much more than that. And that's just how these companies operate. So you come to the realization that much more has been mined from the Niger Delta region than is officially recorded. And
you're also saying much more devastation has been done to the Niger Delta region than is being reported.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that the Niger Delta Congress is pushing for. Let me paint a picture for the listeners. In 2014, Anna Brudel and her colleague from Switzerland, they took a study, did a research on the Niger Delta. And one of the things they found out was that the neonatal deaths in the Niger Delta.
Can you break it down?
That's deaths of children within a certain age, probably in the first months of being born. That if you totally from 2014 to now, this is 10 years, you can say that the Niger Delta has lost at least 140,000 kids because of pollution, because they were conceived within a 10-kilometer radius of oil pollution. That is little.
And if I understand you correctly, you're saying for such devastation, the Niger Delta deserves some, what's it called now? What's the word? The word just skipped me. But they deserve some level of, why is the word not coming? Is it, anyways, when the word comes to me, I ask the question, but we do have a commercial. I'm really sorry my vocabulary is not working at this moment, but when we come back from the commercial, I would ask the question. I'll take a look at my dictionary and ask the question, and we'll continue the conversations here on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Good afternoon to you, and please stay tuned. Right, thank you very much for staying tuned. 27 minutes or almost 28 minutes can pass 4 p.m. You're listening to Hard Facts in 92.3 Nigeria. For the conversation is live on Facebook. It's also live on YouTube, and we're active on X. We'll take your reactions there. Nigerian for PhD handle. You could also follow me on social media, DCanada, TheKalada. Now, before the commercial break, I was speaking with Nubari, Saatah, and I told him I was going to go to the dictionary to look for the word that I was going to use to ask him the question. And I think I've come up with preference. So, before the commercial break, my guest was telling me, why there is the move, or there was the need in the first place for, a commission like the NDDC and a ministry like the Niger Delta Affairs Ministry. And he talked about how much has been mined in the Niger Delta. I'm talking about crude oil. And he talked about 40 billion barrels of crude in, the past few years. And, I'm beginning to think. But that's not where he stopped. He talked also about the devastation to the environment, and it's massively more, in his words, than what is being reported. And he said that is what the Niger Delta Congress is, in the forefront for. However, I'm now thinking, should that be a reason why the federal government should play preference to the region? Should that be what should make the region, the favorite? Favoritism in terms of allocation of ministries and all of that stuff? Or do you think, in the talk about diversification, and which let's start with preference before I go into diversification. Do you think the Niger Delta deserves the preference? Are they still supposed to be talking about being the favorite amongst the various regions? Because they get 13% derivation, for instance, they get ecological funds. Usually they get the IS based on the fact that they are oil-producing communities. So when you look at all of these things, they get the large allocations as well.
Country should be, they should be happy. There should be much more. What's the word? Like I've forgotten the word. They should be grateful to the Niger Delta region, because we have basically funded this country from inception.
Hey, would you say from inception? Because farming at some point, cocoa, granite, these things were as viable as crude oil.
That's an argument that people who always want to hold on to this feeding bottle federalism will practice. That's always what they try to push. But you must understand that when these cash crops, like you call it, were the means of funding revenue of the day, you had a country that was split into regions, whereby the regions there was resource control. So the regions basically control their resources. Well, immediately oil was found in the Niger Delta, the semantics for the idea, we need to revisit the sharing formula started changing slowly from 50 to 39, like that, to 1%. At the point in time in this country, the Niger Delta was not even earning derivation at all. It wasn't earning it. Why? Because, the larger nationalities who have basically been the ones in control of the Nigerian state feel that, these are minorities, who can stamp on them, we can subjugate them, their voices will not be heard. We are larger than them. So I don't want to talk about preference. The Nigerian state should be very, 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 very grateful that it has continued that the Niger Delta people have continued to tolerate the excesses. And the action that the president just took is one of those excesses. And the reason why the president will feel comfortable to take such an action when he himself created the Ministry of Livestock Development, which will actually be a department under the Ministry of Agriculture, is because the political leadership of this region have failed to put the interests of our people in front. They are putting their own personal interest.
So if the politicians have failed, who's going to fight the God? Because, even if you, clamor from now until, the end of the world, it is still the politicians that will go back there if the Niger Delta Affairs Ministries. And then, things like the audits, that was done under Nubari's time in office, that we still, like in your words, classified. It's classified. We don't know who, stole our monies. We don't know who looted what, but we knew that there was looting at the time. So, what's your take to that one?
See, the responsibility lies on the people. I think the Niger Delta people, it's high time that we reduce our tolerance level. because I think we have a high tolerance threshold for nonsense.
When you say reduce tolerance, are you preaching violence? Because we don't preach violence.
No, I'm not preaching violence. You can, if you no longer tolerate rubbish and you make it clear and you're able to stamp your feet on the ground, a lot of the things that happen will not happen. For example, let's look at the 6 Niger Delta states. Or we can use River State, for instance, as an example. What is the conversation of the day? Is it the interest of Rivers people? No, it isn't. And Rivers people are cool with it. They are flowing with it because we have allowed our emotions to be harvested, to be tweaked, to be manipulated by the political leaders. When at the end of the day, it's not our interest that is being discussed.
So, are you saying none of the sides are fighting for the interest of the people?
None of them. Since when did the fight start to be for Rivers people? These sides were united as far back as 2022. When did all of a sudden one side become pro-Rivers and the other side not become pro-Rivers? When personal interest got in the way, and to protect personal interests, political careers, and they have started framing it as a fight for Rivers people. Well, there are actually little benefits accruing to Rivers people as a cause of the fight, but let's be realistic. Let's understand these things. There are important conversations that we should be having in Rivers State. The Niger Delta accounts for the highest unemployment and underemployment in the entire country. The region that is basically funding the country itself.
Are we statistically counting unemployment more than the northern part of the country?
Yes. That's the sad part of everything. Like if you look at the top 10 states with the highest unemployment and underemployment, the Niger Delta has at least 5.
Was it 5? Yeah, I think 5. Yeah.
That's sad. It shouldn't be so. But what are the conversations we are having in Rivers State, in Bayelsa State, in Cross River State?
But even if we have 5, it doesn't mean we have the highest, because I'm thinking population of the northern part. Yes, we are ranked in the top 10, but I don't think we have. That's why I wanted to have that conversation. I don't think we're ranked, the highest. The Niger Delta is the region with the highest.
No, you have to look at it based on the population. If, for example, a state like Taraba has an unemployment and underemployment rate of 33%, and River State has an employment and underemployment rate of 40%, it doesn't matter the population difference. It simply states that in relation to the population of River State, you have more unemployed and underemployed
I get
people.
you now. I get you now.
So that's it. But these are the conversations. But what are the political leadership of this region having? We have like I was talking about, the president set up a ministry of livestock development, which can basically be an agency under the Ministry of Agriculture.
But they're saddled with a responsibility to stop herders, farmers, clashes and crisis.
So you create an entire ministry for it. While the Niger Delta ministry that was created to help advance infrastructural development, preserve the environment of the Niger Delta, provide youth employment for youth in the Niger Delta.
Do we really need a ministry for all of that? We already have the NDDC. Soon we would have the South-South Development and the South-East Development Commission. So do we really need, I'm just asking, in your opinion, do we need a ministry? Just like you said, we don't need a ministry for livestock development. Do we need a ministry for Niger Delta?
As a matter of fact, if not for the dystopian way that the Nigerian Federation has been structured, we do not need an NDDC. Neither do we even need a Niger Delta. Niger Delta, that it's still 87% of resources and gives us 13%. So if there was resource control, I don't think anybody would be bothered if there is a Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, if there was a Ministry of Niger Delta Development Commission, if there was a South-South Development Commission. Because you come to realize that at the end of the day, all these development commissions that are being created, why are they being created? They are simply being created because, the Niger Delta people have their own. We must have. So it's like it's a competition. Anything that the Niger Delta has, other parts of the country feel that, we too must have, and they contribute nothing to this country.
Can you say nothing? I mean, they contribute to our GDP.
GDP. See, they are only, if you look at the data, they are only, apart from Lagos and maybe Ogun State, there's no other country in this country. There's no other state in this country that can survive without allocation from the federal government. Where is that allocation coming from? It's coming from the Niger Delta. 70% of the Nigerian budget is being funded from the resources, from the degradation of the Niger Delta environment, the exploitation of our resources. So if there was resource control, there would be no need for us to even be looking at these ministries or these agencies.
So do you think the conversation should not be about reinstating the Niger Delta Affairs Ministry, but for restructuring or resource control?
But there's a saying, a bird in hand is worth more than 200 in bush. While we are advancing the argument that we need to restructure this country, we should not be having that argument when the Nigerian government continues to take the little palliative measures it has put in place for our people.
Why do you think this? No, I understand the argument of non-Niger Deltans being at the Home of Affairs, but why do you think this would remove the little palliative, in your words, that has been given
not removed by per se? It's all about control.
Okay.
It's all about control.
So they want to further control our resources. That's what you're saying.
It's simple. This is where everything comes from. There's nothing to control in Zamfara. Everything comes from here. So giving access to people to control the resources, it further strangles our people. If you notice something about the NDDC prior to now, let's just say before the last 3 years, before the new MD came in, because I think he has been there for 2 years or even 1 year plus or thereabouts. You will notice something, that anytime there was an election getting close, whether it's in one state or another, there will always be a change of leadership of the NDDC.
In the Niger Delta
region. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
As it stands now, you cannot even remember who the last NDDC MD was, because that's how short their tenure has been. You're there for 6 months. All of a sudden, there's an election in Edo State. They've changed. Somebody else comes in. Oh, there's a by-election in Bayelsa State. Somebody else comes in. Oh, there's another election coming. Somebody else comes in. It has been to simply have access to these resources. Similar thing is happening in Hyprep. Now, many people will think, okay, Hyprep is benefiting Ogoni people and all that. But you come to realize that at the end of the day, the people calling the shots are people in the Ministry of Federal Ministry of Environment. Are those people Niger Delta? And most of them are not. The people who are getting these contracts, how many of them are Niger Delta or Ogoni people? Most of them are not. So you have these issues. At the end of the day, it's all about control. How do we control these resources? How do we ensure that the way it moves, we're aware of it, we can circumvent it, and we can ensure that it gets back to our pocket?
All right, let's go to the phone lines. I'll come back with you. I've got a lot of questions. But let's listen to the listener and what he thinks about this conversation. We've talked about it before. The federal government has decided to dissolve the Ministry of the Niger Delta Affairs to make way for a regional development ministry for the South Development Commission, if it actually is bettered, for the Southeast Development Commission, for the Northeast. I mean, all the geopolitical zones and their commissions when they come into being. So what are your thoughts? Listening to my guest and listening to some of the facts that he has reeled out on the show, well, what are your thoughts? If you were thinking left before, are you thinking right? If you're thinking right, are you thinking left? I want to get your thoughts on that one. You know the numbers. But if you're a first timer, the numbers are 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, and 0817 923 0007. Those are the call numbers. I would love to hear from you, and let's get talking. Remember, we're live on Facebook, Nigeria Info PH. We're live on YouTube, Nigeria Info PH. We're active on X, Nigeria Info PH. The WhatsApp number is 0809 0306 What do you make of all of this, right? I want to get your thoughts. And also, I think I have another question. I wrote it down, so just give me a minute there. The other question I want to ask is, would you want the reinstatement of the Niger Delta Affairs Ministry? Would you want a reinstatement, so to say? I've got Chima, and Chima is calling from Rumukuta. Chima, welcome. What is on your mind?
Good afternoon. To me, about that scrapping out of the Niger Delta Ministry, to me, it's a very good one. Because in the inspection of this ministry, I haven't seen anything positive. The only time we heard about it is when Fabio was a minister in that ministry, and the problem with him and that Joy Nuga, the NDDC boss. That is the only time, and the only time it is surfaced was because of money and whatever. Otherwise, ordinarily, we have not even worked within the hook and corners of River State to say this project is being held by the Niger Delta Ministry. I have not even seen a staff about that place. I don't even know where they are. So what am I saying is, in essence, is that this coming of it is I think it's long overdue, because that thing is an initiative by Late Yaradua. Yes, maybe he knows why he did it, and he didn't last for him to have maybe shown us or let the being begin to manifest. This is the brainchild. So maybe he died. Everything pertaining that thing just died. The only that ministry was just a jamboree.
Chima, can I ask you a question?
And the creation of this regional whatever is fine. One, each region for their own, It's going to bring an employment. massive employment, like the south side, we have our own region to bring employment, and they are going to work in partnership with the NDDC. So now this one is something like, you know me, I know you. NDDC bring our own here in River State, take Edo home to Edo State, because the idea of wanting, that maybe a centralized something. That is the problem we are having.
But Chima, do you throw the baby and the bath water? I guess that's what my guest is asking. Do you throw away the baby and the bath water? So yes, it's not worked, to the maximum or to the optimal.
You don't do that, but that's an innovation. You understand?
Okay.
That's something we need to grow. Yes, we need to grow. There are some meetings that need to be scrapped, and there are some that need to come back. So we don't need to stay stagnant.
All right, then. All right. Thank you, Tim. I've got to go. I've got Clinton from Bori. Clinton, welcome. Tell me your thoughts. I'd like to hear them.
Saatah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon to your guest.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I've listened to him, and he has posited some excellent positions here. He has given us several excellent instances as to why the ministry should be there. And in as much as I agree with him, Kalada, these ministries were created for the people, for the interest of the general population of the Niger Delta. But if you ask, have these ministers, have those that have shared that ministry been there before, have they done anything to the interest, for the interest of the people? But this is what you see about the political elite, Kalada. The political elite are the ones that will benefit, even though they bring back the ministry. They will be the ones that will stay there and impoverish the poor and stay there and take out the money. So, for me, it's a good thing that it's gone. Let's live with what we have so that we can learn from our mistakes going forward. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. We've got Obina from Ilios. Obina, welcome. Tell me what is on your mind.
I'm Obina, my brother.
All right, Obina, welcome. Yeah.
I want to inform everybody because of this Niger Delta. You know that they have great employment. The one Yaradua gives all of the people that is kidnapping, doing a lot of burglary, amnesty. Some of them have misused the opportunity. You see, they're ranting now, saying a lot of things, threats, yes. So I want to call the president of Nigeria in the person of Olame Tinubu. This regional district they're creating is not necessary. We developed through local government. Yes, all of us should remember that. We developed through the local government before. What is the work of the local government? I'm telling you, my brother, this thing is bringing tribalism everywhere. Okay, look at the people calling themselves Niger Delta. Count the people, they say they are 6 of. My brother is bullshit, man.
No, you don't use that language on air. Obina, you should know this already. Anyways, moving on, I've got Alozie from Ada George. Alozie, welcome. What is on your mind like here?
Good afternoon, man of the people.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I salute your guest in the studio. He has shown as a very resourceful person and a core Niger Delta indigenous. I love his advanced explanations on what we are facing. Salada, I have a very big problem with the describing of Niger Delta Ministry. I know most of us here in Niger Delta will have some of our sentiments we are sharing. The thing is not functioning. This is its existence. I have not seen any development project they are carrying out. But we should also ask ourselves questions. I mean, most of us from Niger Delta who is sharing this particular sentiment. To ask ourselves questions. The environmental degradations in this Niger Delta, describing the Niger Delta Ministry, is it not an affront and a very big slap to us? I expected people who are political leaders, who have voted for, who has the, who are saddled with the responsibility to speak on behalf of the Niger Delta. They are doing their own personal bidding, and it's very, very unfortunate. Those are saying describing it is good. The regional development they are bringing now, is it different persons who are coming to work to it? The problem goes down to the government. If we must develop this country, we should have a chart developmental vision, which will state if this regional development commission is created from now to the next 10 years, this is what this development commission will gain. These are the developmental strive we will get from this particular commission. Without that, Canada, it will be as usual, sharing money among the elite.
All right, thank you very much.
Sharing money between them and their
Alozie, I've got to go. Thank you.
Even here in Rivers State, from the kind of orderly down to Amechi, down to Wike, mention one project that one governor ended, another one continued. What is our developmental vision chart? We don't have it.
All right. All right. Thank you, Alozie. I've got to go. I've got Emeka from Owerri. Emeka, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to.
I wish you had that.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that one.
Canada, you see, the problem, Niger Delta, even up to Imo State, and that I said as part of all the problem we have here in Port. The speaker in the house spoke very, very, very well. But the bottom line, the main problem for me, from my own point of view, is politics. You see this, as the gentleman is speaking in the studio, when the election comes now, everybody will get scarred. Nobody will talk of everybody, politics will divide everybody. I'm saying this because you know that the reason why the thing is more in outside, even if it is part of producer and others. The reason why it's made, the reason why it's a lot of stuff here is because the way place structured. Yeah, I don't know. Do you know that I'm from Imo State? Canada, I don't know where my oil, whatever they call it, I don't know where it's situated. My quiz over 90% of our staff, nobody even care about that. But most of them they have the personal dependent things they are doing. They don't care. Except those people that are living within the oil area. You understand what I'm saying? All of us living here is inclusive. What I'm trying to say, when is when are we going to wake up from our slumber?
All right, then.
The shift and the what I call the marginalization is too much. Somebody is saying, it's good. Let us scrap them. Because they wait money. Because they are waiting in the house. I think it's unfair. They are counting it. They are counting to all of us.
All right, Emeka, I've got to go. I've got to go. All right.
It belongs to us. It belongs to us.
All right, then.
Somebody is not question that because of where is making use of it, you give it back to the person. Let them use it the way they want.
All right. I've got to go, Emeka. But thank you very much for your thoughts. I've got Dede from Iwofe. Dede, quickly, please wrap your thoughts quickly. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yes, Canada and your guests in the studio. I greet everybody. My concern, just like as the young man said, that Rivers people or Niger Delta should not take it anymore. The question is, how do they intend to achieve it? And if that one will be answered, the next one is, having observed that most of these, will I say, NDDC and the one that the federal government grants is politically arranged. So of what benefit if they bring it up again? Or don't you think that it's good to scrap everything scrappable since it's politically motivated and we now agitate and request for what will benefit the Niger Delta? Because the truth is this, every day by day, this region is going down. And the leaders from this region are busy playing politics with the life of those in the creek, with the life of those that have nothing and no voice.
All right.
And up to today, we are still saying the same thing. So my own question is, how do they want to achieve it? Because a lot of us are really eager to make sure that what belongs to the people comes back to the people.
All right.
Know how.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dede. I've got to go. But let me come to my guest because my time is fast spent and we have, 2 minutes now. You've heard what the listeners have said. Some are for, some are against. I told you from the very get-go. However, what do you think is the solution? How do we... You are calling for the reinstatement, or what's the right word now? Bringing back Niger Delta Affairs Ministry. Bring back our ministry. I guess that's what you're saying. But what is the way forward? How do you make the president listen? Non-violently, I presume. How do you want to do it? And who are the people going to man these ministries? Are they the same politicians? I like to hear.
Well, There's a man I respect so much, Chinua Achebe, and there's something he said in his book when his thesis on the problem with Nigeria. He said that the problem with Nigeria is strictly a problem of leadership. Respectfully, I would like to add to that and say that, and followership. I think it's high time, like I said earlier, that the Niger Delta people reduce their threshold, their tolerance threshold for the inefficiencies
and do what?
Of the political leaders.
And do what?
Organize. It's as simple as that. People need to organize. And one thing that we have failed to do properly in the Niger Delta, in Nigeria, is to organize. We fail to understand the shared purpose, and it's something that we must quickly find. And that's what the Niger Delta Congress is all about. Harmonizing the Niger Delta people towards that shared purpose. Because it's really, like the last speaker was saying, the political leadership have failed us. They have failed us. The people who are clamoring that said, okay, the ministry should go, you can see their reasons. Because the politicians who are manning these ministries have failed to live up to their responsibilities. But people must take responsibility. They must understand that if they do not take action, we are going to continue to decline. We are going to continue to degenerate, and it's not in our favor. We must rise up to the challenge and take responsibility for our society. All
right, I'll have to pause you. My time is finished, and there's a commercial coming up in about 5 seconds. But I would thank you very much for coming in, Nubari, Saatah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Stay tuned.